Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you for being here. Obviously, I know everybody has a busy schedule. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Dr. Craig Cortez, Superintendent of Morris High School, and I'm really excited to have Detective Rich Wistocki here with us tonight. He is a cyber crimes expert. He is going to share what I hope is very valuable information with you. He's spoken to our students before, and he's going to speak to them again tomorrow. So I will turn it over to Detective Wistocki.
Thank you so much. So I understand we have about 250 students, right?
Pardon?
250 students in the school?
950.
950. Why are there not 900 parents here? Right? Let me tell you why, okay? And this is part for the course. Because parents suffer from a deadly disease called the MNK syndrome. When you suffer from this deadly disease called the MNK syndrome, not my kid, that's when kids become victimized the most. So I appreciate your attendance here. It's unfortunate that more parents don't take charge of the things that will affect their kids for a lifetime. So what I want to do is I want to share something with you. If you want to go ahead and here, let me pull this out. Take your phones out like a menu in a restaurant. Watch what happens with your camera. Press the yellow button, and it's going to add me to your contacts. No need to take a picture of it, just float your camera on there. And then hit the yellow button or the top button if you have an Android, and add me to your contact. And hit save or add new contact. How about that, huh? That's pretty cool. So I will not be doing that for your kids tomorrow. But who am I and what do I do? So I've been law enforcement for 30 years. I started out with the Village of Summit Police Department. That's where I grew up, Summit, Illinois. And then I spent 2 years there in patrol, and I got tired of arresting all my friends I grew up with. So I went to Naperville. I started in Naperville in 1990, and I retired in 2018. Wow. It's been that long already. So I spent 4.5 years in patrol, and then I went into juvenile investigations. And in 1998, we had our first internet predator that we knew about. Came from Redwood, Tennessee, all the way up to be a 13-year-old. Took her to a hotel, raped her. The guy didn't kill her, and let her go back home. When you let her go back home, she told her parents. Her parents came to the police department, and he met her on this thing called, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, America Online. AOL. Like when I teach police officers, I tell them what AOL, they're like, no, what's that? So, yeah, and we didn't know what AOL, what they carried, what information that they had. So we were kind of learning as we went. So we decided to take over her account and become her, and 6 months later he came in and tried to do it again. Ladies and gentlemen, the average internet predator will have up to 250 victims in their lifetime. That's how many kids they will affect if they're not stopped by the police. And so it's really important for you to understand that, because when I have kids, so I taught 90 classes across the country last year. 90 classes. I had 20 students come to me after my class telling me that they're being victimized right now about what I was talking about. And we had to open up 20 criminal cases. So you're going to learn a lot about how these predators get to your kids, what are some of the mistakes your kids can make, but you have a lot to do with it. Probably 50%. You have a lot to do with it. Okay? So I was a SWAT member for 22 years. I started that in 1995. And in 2018, I was asked to do a TEDx, or TED Talk. So I did this TED Talk thing, and I didn't think it was no big deal, but it changed my life. literally changed my life. When that got released, it went viral, and I had schools calling me from all over the country, and I was never at work anymore, so I was like, you know what, I think it's time. So then I went ahead and retired, and now I teach all over the schools, all over the country in schools. So, what we're going to cover today is we're going to cover some of the predators that are on your kids' social networks. Okay, we're going to go over some applications on their cell phones. We're going to talk about some of the laws created to protect you and your children. I'm going to show you, if God forbid any of this stuff happens to you or to your children, what to do. And what evidence the police need in order for us to find out who is it. Okay? So, before I start, I want to advise you of two things. Okay? The first thing you may not like. If you want to get up and walk out because you think I'm a horrible person for saying it, I get it, but to me, somebody has to tell you. Somebody has to tell it to your faces about what's going on, but it's a hard pill to swallow, so here it goes. All of you parents here tonight are responsible for your children. That's it. See, you're not only responsible for their food, clothing, and shelter and education, you're responsible for their technology. No matter what BS they try to tell you, you're responsible, not them. Until they're 18, you own everything about them. Everything. I don't care if Nana, Nona, Tia, Grandma, Grandpa buy them that new iPhone 13 for their birthday. Guess what? They don't own it. You as parents allow them to have it or not. I don't care if they cut grass all summer, babysit all winter, and they bought it with their own money. You are allowing them to have it or not. That's the law. The second thing I have for you is that there is no such thing as privacy for your children. Can I get an amen? Yes. You buy them the device. You allow them to have it. You pay for the service. You are responsible for everything they do. Whether they get into a fight, whether they do drugs, whether they go into somebody's car, you're responsible for that. On Sunday, you're making dinner, and you see your kid on the sofa, and they're involved in this conversation on the phone, and you say, "Sweetheart, who are you texting with?" "No, the mom, it's private." "Oh, hell no. That phone's going for a swim." Because you own the device and you own your children. It's a proven medical fact, ladies and gentlemen, that the frontal cortex of their decision-making brain is not developed enough because of what happens on social media. They can't handle it. They can't. Actually, I'm meeting with an attorney tomorrow to put together a police report because this lady's 18-year-old son was talking to who he thought was a model, who was actually a scam artist, and she's got videos and pictures of him now, trying to extort him for money. It's happening all over. All over. So let me tell you the crux of the problem. Where does this all start, where our kids become endangered? It starts right here. How many of you have 4th and 5th graders? Anybody? 4th and 5th graders? Yeah. What grade are you guys in? 6? 8? Okay. How long have you guys had Snapchat? Instagram? Good parents. Okay. So what happens is 4th and 5th fifth graders, how old are they? Anywhere from 9 to 11 years old, right? Did you know it is the law and standard that in order to have a TikTok, a Snapchat, a Discord, and Instagram, they have to be 13? They have to be 13. So what happens that all these 9, 10, 11-year-olds have Snapchat and Instagram? What happens? Why do they have? Here's what happens. Right? They whine. How many whinings have you had, right? Every day. They whine and whine and whine until they get what they want. Parents give in. They have to lie about their age now, right? In order to set a profile, they have to be 13 years above. And let's face it, our kids are not the best mathematicians in the world. Probably because of poor math, but I digress. But anyways, what happens is they're like, yes, I need to have a TikTok. Okay, I put my date of birth in. See, I was born in 2012. Do I go up with my date of birth or do I go down with my date of birth? Oh, heck, I want to figure it out. I'm just going to put in 2000. That'll get me in. So tomorrow when I ask them, how many of you put in 2000 as your date of birth? Because you didn't want to sit there and figure it out, I'm going to get 80% of them raising their hands. How old are they today? 22? So now I got a bunch of 9, 10, 11-year-olds posing as 22-year-olds. They're out of the big C now. Who do you think is going to come talk to them? Adults, because they're 22. Who do you think is going to send them inappropriate pictures and videos? Adults, because they're 22. Who do you think is going to ask them to manufacture inappropriate pictures and videos of themselves? Adults, because they're 22. So as parents, if you're allowing your child to have social media, you must make sure that they're 13. Because how every single social network in the United States is set up is that when you are 13 to 17, nobody 18 years of age or older can talk to you with that age in there. Of course, predators can make baby accounts, sure. But what I'm telling you is that you have to make sure they're at least 13 in order if they have social media. Because you're opening up the floodgates for anybody to talk to them. And that's why these kids get victimized by sextortionists. Because I actually have kids who are told by the sextortionists to get your parents' credit card and security code out of that. And they do it because they don't want their pictures and videos to get out. When I was in Freeport last year at the end of the year, I asked these 4th and 5th graders, how many of you put 2000 in your Snapchat? Look at all those babies raising their hands. All of them put 2000 in the date of birth. By the time I left there, I had 3 victims. 3 victims. And they're all being, a 6th, 7th, and 8th grader, and they're all being victimized by someone who's a freshman. 60% of the people who do sextortion is someone your kid goes to school with. 40% of them is someone they met in a social network and gaming platform. So, again, keeping your kids safe has 50% of the time has to do with you. Okay? So when we were kids, what are some of the things that our parents told us when we left out the door? What were some of the things they told us? They told us what? Be careful, don't talk to strangers, be aware of your surroundings, right? I had one grandparent say, I used to tell my kids to make sure they had quarters. Quarters? Yeah, for payphones, right? We told our kids, beware of your surroundings, don't go in your stranger's car, right? Keep away from that creepy white man, right? That's what we were told. And God, don't get in that stranger's car, right? That's what we were told, to keep us safe. Well, why in the hell now do I have parents putting kids in Ubers and Lyfts? Why? When I teach up in Naperville, the Catholic schools, they have to send emails to parents. We will not put your kid in Uber or Lyft. Figure it out. Just because the technology is there doesn't mean you have to use it. Here are some headlines from Uber drivers and Lyft drivers molesting and abusing their rides. Some of these Uber drivers are using their cousin's car. They just got out of prison. They're splitting the money. We don't check their licenses. We just say, hey, so-and-so, yeah, so-and-so, because he's got the guy's phone. And he knows who you are. But that's not the same guy driving. So being sure about who is driving is absolutely paramount. So let's talk a little bit about how do we talk to our kids about their technology. Some parents talk to their kids about technology like their parents talk to them about other things. All right, here's a phone. If you ever say anything bad, if you ever take pictures, if you ever do this, you're going to be grounded. I'm taking your phone away. You're not going to get your friends. You're going to be grounded. The door's going to walk into your bedroom. If you ever. That's what some parents do. Well, ask yourself this question. Will your child come to you when they make a mistake? No. They won't. They're going to handle it with all the experience they have, right? Because they don't want to get in trouble. And I'm going to show you examples of how this happens. So we're going to talk a lot about something called sex worship. So there's two tools I want to give you. My job here tonight is to give you tools, right? It's to fill your toolbox as parents on how to watch your kids and what to be aware of. There's something called the golden ticket rule, okay? And when you threaten your child into compliance, they will not come to you. They won't. So you need to sit down and have a discussion with them. I have two tools for you. The first one is the golden ticket. You're going to go back and sit with your kids, and I'm so happy that these kids are here. And you're going to say, look, I know mom and dad did this to you, and if you ever do this, if you ever do that, if you ever do this, I'm gonna. Throw that out the window. You're going to go back to your kids and say, look, I heard this guy speak the other day, and I know we were threatening you and all that. I had no idea what was going on in social networks. So look, I want you to take that and throw it away. I want to tell you about something called the golden ticket. If someone makes you feel bad about yourself, or if someone is trying to make you do something you know you shouldn't be doing, and you did it anyways, because they tricked you, you need to come to us. If you come to us, we're going to give you that golden ticket. And what that golden ticket says, there will be no consequences for your mistake. None. I'm not going to take your phone away. I'm not going to ground you. I'm not going to... No, I'm just glad you came to us. You're going to get that golden pass. Okay? But what that means, parents, is that it's not that you're going to give them consequences. You're going to redefine the boundaries. Right? Maybe you delete all the social networks they have and start over, and you have access to that. It's put monitoring software on their devices. Okay? Are any of you dealing with, should I or should I not give them a cell phone? Anybody dealing with that right now? Okay. If you know anybody who is, what happens is sometimes parents are too cheap and they give their kids their old iPhone, right? You need to know that Apple doesn't allow third-party monitoring of their devices. If they have an Android, you can use Bark. You can use Bark for iPhone too, but it doesn't capture as much as an Android does. I had two boys. I got a 28-year-old, I got a 22-year-old. Ever since they were 11, they had a cell phone. And they had an Android since they were 11, but when they went to college, they're like, I'm getting an iPhone, Dad, you ain't monitoring me anymore. And I said, that's fine, because I already trained you. You already know what you should and shouldn't do, okay? So that's just something for you if you're thinking about that. The second thing I have for you is that last year, I'm part of the BARC team, and it's comprised of law enforcement, prosecutors, psychologists, social workers, clergy, ER doctors, and our team goes out and talks throughout the country about this stuff. So we did a documentary last year, and basically what it is when what elementary, junior high, and high school students do behind their parents' backs. It's called Childhood 2.0. You may want to take a note of that. Childhood 2.0. It's on YouTube. It's an hour and a half, and it's free. Okay? What I tell my parents is, watch the video with you and your spouse by yourselves without the kids in the room. If you think your kids can handle the content, watch it with them. Be able to pause it and have a discussion. Now, if you see something that piques your interest and you stop, the inappropriate, not appropriate way to handle this is, you're not doing this, are you? Right? Because parents always want to think my kid would never. So that's what they started off with. You're not doing it. So what you say is, you pause it and say, tell me what you know about this. And they will blah, 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 rat everybody else out that they know. How many of you drive your kids to their sports or events on the weekend? Alright? Carpool? Alright? So many parents try to put their 2 cents into the conversations that our kids are having in your van, or your Suburban, or your Yukon, right? They try to put their 2 cents in. My advice to you parents, shut the hell up. Just shut up. Turn down the radio and listen. They're going to forget you're there. And then you're going to learn so much about this kid, so much about that kid, so much about that kid. And then when you drop everybody off, now your kid is trapped. So tell me what that was about so-and-so. And is so-and-so really doing this? Now you're getting intel, right? So shut the hell up when you're driving that in the carpool. You're going to be amazed at the amount of intel that's going to be there. So I want to give you a little trailer to Childhood 2.0 and how it's produced. Oops, sorry.
They were local, they were small.
I was born in the very depths of the Great Depression. I was put to work carrying wood, carrying water. I knew how to shell peas, I knew how to break beans. It still didn't have electricity. See what Instagram.
I use Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok.
TikTok and Fortnite. I just scroll for hours on it. 1 hour a day.
8, 9.
Maybe like 12. It's actually the way that we can keep track of them out there in the real world where things really are scary.
The lives of kids were sort of changing slowly for a while, and then all of a sudden, most kids were able to get on social media, and that's when everything skyrocketed.
The rates at which they're experiencing problems continues to increase.
We also know that the teen suicide rate increased 56%.
Last year alone, we received over 18 million reports of international and domestic online child sexual abuse.
We have traded a false sense of safety and security for actually putting our kids in riskier situations. Called the race to the bottom of the race down. So it starts with techniques like pull to refresh.
Every guy has an addiction to it, but no one talks about
Or
it.
it's just faster now and it's younger.
Well, yeah, like millions of girls go around in school all the time. At the beginning of the year, there were multiple suicides before school even started. There were men that wanted to talk to children at all hours of the day and night.
On Snapchat, one thought it'd be a funny idea to talk to the other who wanted to commit suicide, and she did it. She's dead after about 6 weeks where we got practice phone.
Kids right now are going to experience the worst of what we're going through.
How do your parents know that this happens?
No, my kid won't do that. My kid would never. My kid's school isn't like that. You're wrong.
Because what they see, they feel neurologically compelled to do. Right now, we're effectively living in an experiment. How is this going to affect us? We'll find out.
So it's very well done. Watch it by yourselves. Another important aspect is that for divorced parents, sometimes that is a real danger zone because in a divorce situation, the other parent may use the kid's technology to get back at the other parent and be a cool parent. That's a mistake. They want to make the other parent look so bad and say, hey, you know, if the kid is living with you, and you're like, yeah, I'm looking at these behaviors, I want to put monitoring software on the phone. No way! No way! They have their own they have their own privacy. You're not going to jeopardize their privacy. They have to make their own mistakes and get through it. And then when the kid goes to visit the other parent, they'll say, do you know what your mom wants to do to you? And who does that ruin? It ruins the child. So I even have an online education for parents. It's called cyberparenting-101.com. And some of the court systems, when their kid is involved in a technology crime, like cyberbullying, sexting, sextortion, the judge orders a parent to take my class online and come back with a certificate. So it's really important for parents to get the information, especially divorced parents, and you cannot be using technology to give back to the other parent. It's just not good for the child. So we're going to talk a lot about this, sextortion. It's blackmail for kids. Usually, when it comes to girls, they do it to manufacture child pornography. When they do it to boys, usually it's for financial gain. Okay, that's how it's breaking up currently. It never used to be like that, but it is now. So, this is how this happens. How many of you guys play Fortnite? Roblox? Minecraft? You guys play Minecraft? Okay. So let's say your kid plays Minecraft or Fortnite for 2 hours every day after school. Because they want to unwind, they want to not think about school, they just want to play their game. So one day, in Minecraft, they meet someone who they play a game with. And they're playing with them for 2 hours every day for 2 months after school. And they're making sick underground caverns, destroying other cities, making beautiful kingdoms, lava, all kinds of great stuff, right? Well, 2 months in, your friend on Minecraft says, hey, do you want to go to WhatsApp? Let's go to Discord. Let's go to Discord. And so you go to Discord. How many of you parents have heard of Discord? Raise your hands. Okay. So let me tell you a little bit about that for a second. We'll get into it a little bit. But where is the one place, parents, that your parents in schools, when you were growing up, said never go to online, never go to that place? What's it called? What was that place called that your parents never wanted you to go to because it was dangerous? Remember what it's called? Chat rooms. Stay out of those chat rooms. There's evil people there. There's all kinds of predators. And they were right. When I had undercover personas, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. I could do a read every night if I wanted to. Discord knew this. Discord knew that the kids now, their parents grew up in the age where chat rooms were evil. So instead of calling Discord chat rooms, they called it Discord servers. Because as parents who work, right, what do we think of when we think of a server? What comes to your mind? Computer mainframe, where all your data is stored in your work, right? That's what we think of. So when your kid comes to you and says, I'm going to make a server, oh, my kid's so smart. That's what they think. That's what we think. But that's not what it is. Discord is a chat room where predators go. So what I'm going to tell the kids tomorrow, if anyone takes you off your gaming platform to go to private chat, they are not who they say they are. They're not. Because if you had something to say to me, why not just say it on the game? Why do I have to go over there to private chat? Here's why predators do this. The National Center of Missing and Exploited Children has a program that sits monitoring in every social network in the United States, in every gaming platform in the United States, and every cloud service in the United States. So how many of you back up your phone to iCloud? Guess what? They're looking at all your pictures and videos. Okay? If there's child pornography or child exploitation in any one of those three things, the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children gets a report on that called an electronic tip report, and one of 5,000 people like myself gets something called a cyber tip. And we investigated that tip came from any one of those three entities. Predators know this. They know if they can take the kid off the gaming platform that's being monitored, they take the private chat which is not being monitored, they know they got a kid. Okay, so the first red flag I have for the kids tomorrow is, if someone takes you off your gaming platform and go to private chat, they are not who they say they are. Right off the bat. Now, if you know them physically, that's a different story, right? So, then what happens is, they take you to Discord. You're in a chat room, so in Discord you'll see, I'll show you a picture of it. There are chat rooms designed on the left side by the game, by Discord, by the server. And then you'll see all of the users on the right. And then you'll see all the rooms in the center. So they can make their own room, they can hop into chat rooms. They'll hop in chat room, they'll talk to people, they'll strategize about the game, or they'll go to private chat one-on-one. I'm telling you, we're having so many problems with this right now in our country, all over the world. So then they get the private chat, and then here's what the predator says. We've been friends for so long. Do you want to see what I really look like? And your kid's going to be like, I don't care, go for it. Their new friend that they've known for so long, 2 months, sends them 2 or 3 inappropriate pictures or videos of themselves naked. But it's not really them. They got that from another victim. So remember, if your kid comes to you and says, I did this, understand there's 10, 20, 30 other kids that this person had done this to. Okay? 250, remember? So then what follows is, when they send the inappropriate picture or video, this follows. I've arrested over 100 sex extortionists, over 300 internet predators. The common denominator in sextortion is this. Once that picture and video is sent, they follow up with, now you owe me 1 pic. Now you owe me 1 pic. And tomorrow, I'm going to ask the kids, how many of you have ever been said, now you owe me 1 pic? And I'm going to get 50 to 100 kids raise their hands. So the second red flag I have for the kids is, when someone says to you, you owe me 1 pic, you are about to be a victim of sextortion. It's going to happen if you respond. That's the key. Now you owe me 1 pic. If you ever see that, you're about to be a victim. But if we're not talking to our kids, that's why the NMK syndrome is so dangerous, right? Because parents are not telling their kids this. They'll get it from me tomorrow, but all over the country, talking to them about it will say, well, I don't want to lose my friend I've known for so long. And I guess there's some internet law where I have to reciprocate a picture in order for them to still be my friend and play on Minecraft. I'll get a little group shot. Right? And they sent it. 3 days later, that friend that they've known for so long will say, hey, how do you like the new Instagram account I made for you with your group shot on and all your other pictures on it? I'm going to send this to all your friends. I'm going to send this to your school. I'm going to send this to everybody you know if you don't make me videos every week. And they're like, oh my God, this is what I thought it was. I didn't tell my parents. Wait, if I tell my parents, you're going to be grounded or taking your phone away. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't lose my phone. I don't want to get grounded. He said he just wants one video. I'll just make him the video. He'll leave me alone. It's never one video. It's never one picture. It'll continue until you can't handle it anymore. Now they're being sex story. So the National Center made this video, and I want to share with you exactly what happens when it comes to sex worship.
Hi, Dad. There's another video from our special guy. We can't talk lately. I wish you one time slower or closer so we could finally take it. Then right now, but don't spend too long with them. I know you've been waiting for this for a while. I wanted to give you something special.
Screen captures from the video chat. That's your account.
Who are you? Why are you doing this?
See all the windows? Every file folder is a window. So when we're talking to our kids, this is why it's important to talk to them about the golden ticket, watch Childhood 2.0 with them, so you get that conversation out of the way, so your kids know that they can come to you. If God forbid, even if they make a mistake and they do it, because there's a protocol that I teach law enforcement on how it will never be seen again. I can shut down the predator's accounts like that. Not an issue. Okay? So what apps are they using? Well, a lot of them are using, of course, TikTok, Snapchat, Fortnite, YOLO. YOLO is something that they use to be anonymous in Snapchat. Instagram, again, that's an icon for Discord. Twitter, Amino, this is the West Coast thing. Amino is a place where kids who are questioning their sexuality, they use Amino. And what better place for a predator to go to get kids, right? Call of Duty, Roblox, Minecraft. This has been a pain in my butt since COVID. Illegal. I would suggest to you as parents to go into your wireless filter, figured out how to reject certain websites that they can't go to. Omegle is one of them. About 15 years ago, Omegle came on the scene, and it was done by college students. What happens is it's chat roulette. They go on the site, omegle.com, and they activate video, and every 10 to 15 seconds, a new person on video comes up. College students used to line up shots in their dorms, and when a naked dude came on, they all had a drink. They all had to take a shot. And they were wasted by the end of the night, believe me. There are so many naked dudes trying to exploit young children. Like when I go to junior high, I ask them, and I put this up on Omegle, they're like, woo! I said, why? Why do you want to see a bunch of pervs on a webcam? They say they think it's funny. And the new pain in my butt is Oculus. That is the new proving ground for predators. Is Oculus. You see, Facebook lost over the last 10 years their main base, 13 to 17-year-olds, right? And you as a kid, if you're on Facebook, they're like, boomer, no. Right? Well, how did they get back those 13 to 17-year-olds? They created metaverse. In order for your kid to have an Oculus, they have to have a Facebook account. Okay? So, I want to show you, first I want to show you Discord. This is what it looks like. So these are the different servers that are available. These are the chat rooms that Discord makes. These are all the people using this at any time. These are the rooms that they're going into, the chat rooms. And then they can make person-to-person contact in private chat. Okay? And they can share pictures and videos. Again, where I'm going tomorrow at this attorney's office, this kid was told to go get gift cards at Walmart. And he's been paying thousands and thousands of dollars. They've been extorting him for the past 2 weeks. So, well, I'm going to put a stop to it. And then, of course, Oculus. This is going to be the new pain in the butt. And I want to show you exactly why it's a pain in the butt by this news report.
Police are calling it the first case involving a virtual reality system. Police say Chris Evans talked with the girl for more than a month through Oculus. That's a virtual reality headset. Our investigative reporter Terry Parker is live tonight. And Terry, how did this happen on this gaming platform?
Well, if you don't know, Tiffany, Oculus is a meta platform game where you put on a headset, close your eyes, and then you play the game in virtual reality. It also has messaging and chat features, and experts warn that you would be wary of who your child is talking to under those headsets.
Really is problematic. It's what is putting predators in touch with our children directly. It is these gaming platforms.
Online gaming can be serious. Virtual relationships can lead to real-life exploitation, according to Carly Yost of the Child Rescue Coalition.
Most all of the Oculus games allow for interactive communication, so you're actually in a room playing with people all around the world. When they play a game with them, they feel like they have that friendship, that bond, and connection.
Wyoming police last Thursday found a missing 13-year-old Utah girl in the back of a semi-truck at a truck stop in Cheyenne. Police say 25-year-old Chris Evans of Fort Pierce had been communicating with the girl using Oculus for about a month, and then apparently made contact with her in Utah and took her to the truck stop. The girl was in good health, and Evans was arrested.
And what's interesting is they build a friendship with these children and really groom them through these chat rooms.
Oculus is different from most most other games, and that you can't see or hear what is happening behind your child's headset as they talk with strangers, some who could be potential predators.
And there's no written text of that conversation that they had. There's no log of it, and there's no one really monitoring this. So it really is asking your kid these questions. Who are you talking to?
And you can disable chat and messaging, and yours tells me that's really important for young kids that you do that even if they argue against it. So they have a lot of other tips on how to protect your children from gaming situations as well as other things that could be threats online. You can find them under the education tab on their website, and I'm going to put a link to that on my story on our WPBF platform. Terry Barber, WPBF, 25 years.
So there's three things you have to know about Oculus that you need to do as a parent. Ready? The first thing is that you have to make a rule. You are not allowed to play Oculus in any part of the house except the public part of the house. Not in the basement, not in your room, only in the kitchen, the living room, dining room, wherever, on the main floor of the house. That's number one. Number two, go to settings and turn off the chat feature. Turn off chat feature. And number three, make sure when they play, they're playing with the speaker on. So everybody in the room can hear what's being said. Okay? So those three things. Public room in the house, turn off chat and messaging, and put the speaker on when you're playing. So you can hear what's being said to your child. Now, again, understand how TikTok works. TikTok was invented by the Chinese. It used to be Musically. TikTok took over, took all those people that were in Musically, and they use artificial intelligence to track everything you do on your phone. What you search for, what you look at in YouTube, who you talk to, the topics, where your geolocation is. They track all of that and put it into the AI, and it goes into something called an FYP for your page, right? So if you want to see what your kid is doing on their devices, just go to their For Your page, and you can scroll. If you're seeing drugs, fights, shootings, stuff like that, you're going to see this is the stuff that they're looking up. I mean, if you look at my FYP on TikTok, it's going to have weightlifting, travel, cooking. It's going to have fasting information on there, diet information on there. It's going to have police arrests, SWAT, sniper shooting. Those are the things that I look at. And they take that intelligence and they make it available to me. So if you go on your kids' FYP, it's drugs, gangs, fight. These are the things that they interest in. And you're going to know. Okay? So last year I was teaching at a Catholic school in Elmhurst. And on the flyer it says that we're going to talk about TikTok and all Discord and all this other stuff. And so I had a mom say, TikTok, what's wrong with TikTok? Both of my twin girls use it. So she decided before the seminar to look at her daughter's TikTok and what she's putting out there. She sent me this email 2 hours before the presentation. You don't know until you check. That phone is your phone. That child is your child. You are responsible for this. One of the biggest mistakes parents make is allowing your child to charge their devices in their rooms at night. You see, when you allow your child to charge their devices in their rooms at night, they're sleeping. They shut the door so you can't hear them. They don't need to talk. It's typing, reading, and performing. That's how predators get to your kid. So, when you go home, I don't care, even their Chromebooks, their iPads, their devices, those parents in charge, and they get their device when they wake up in the morning. Okay? That is your responsibility. Because if you allow them to have the device in the rooms at night, they're going to be up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning playing on Fortnite. They're going to be on TikTok. They get in that rabbit hole, and they're going to be good for nothing during school when they're falling asleep. Are you having more kids fall asleep now than ever before over the last 5 years? That's because they're up till 2, 3 in the morning on their TikTok or their Fortnite or whatever. Keep those devices in your rooms being charged, nowhere else. I get a kick out of this one. I have a lot of parents and a lot of moms who are out there saying stuff like, my daughter tells me everything. We're best friends. She tells me about the drama at school. I'm her best friend. She comes to me with everything. We have no secrets from each other. We're so close we wear the same clothes. How many of you know parents like that? Raise your hand. Yeah, right? They're so engaged in being friends with their children. Don't kid yourself. Ask yourself this question. Did you tell your parents everything when you were 13 and 14? Hell no, you didn't. So what makes you think your darling little daughter is going to tell you everything? They don't. But they want you to think that they do. And if they can get mom to go to bat for them away from dad, that's a bonus. Right? So, another big mistake parents make is that I have moms not paying attention to their God's gifts. Moms, God has given you an amazing gift called a maternal instinct. It is designed to protect your babies. Whether your baby is 6 months old or 40, it'll never go away, ever. Something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong. If you are feeling something's wrong, something's wrong. Understand that. And if you think something is wrong, where do you think you're going to find the answer? This is who they are. This is their communication. This is their reputation. This is their swag. This is their everything. If you want to know what's going on, it's in here. You just got to look. You just got to look. Because whose phone is it? It's yours. So, for elementary kids, like 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, I do a parent night with them. They bring their kids. And every kid gets a printed out piece of paper, like they put there's 6 lines or there's 6 dots, and they have to put their password in. So the first thing we do, the first exercise is all exercise based. First thing we do is say, okay, parents, stand up in front of your, 3rd grader, 4th grader, and they bring their devices. Okay, watch me very closely. Parents, stand in front of your child and go like this. And then repeat after me. Give me the phone, please. Say it, everybody say it, they say it, everybody together. Give me your phone, please. Okay, kids, put your device in your parents' hands. Good job, parents, see you can do this! Now sit down and kids, I want you to show your parents how you open up your phone. And show them your super password. So I set the standard right there, right? I say now, kids, if you ever change that password without telling your parents, that's consequence. You're going to lose your device for a week. You're going to lose your privileges for a week if you ever change that code. Now, parents, understand me. If you ever try to get in there and they change the passcode, that's a consequence. Let me tell you why that is. So I'll teach it down in Clinton, Illinois, about 3 years ago. Teacher parent presentation. Before the parent presentation, the sheriff, the chief, and the mayor decided to take me to bed. And I go to the chief, I said, Chief, who's doing your internet safety cases or internet cases? Oh, I can't afford that. I don't have comes to your department for help. I just sent it to the state police or the FBI. I said, well, that's unfortunate. Because all the training is free. I said, here's my card. If you ever need anything, let me know. So that was a Thursday night. Monday morning at 7 a.m., I'm heading out to go teach some SROs. I get a call from this detective from Clinton. He goes, are you detective Wistocki? I said, yeah, how can I help you? And he goes, well, my chief told me to call you because I'm way over my skis on a case that I had this weekend. I said, what happened? He goes, I had two 12-year-olds on Snapchat. One decided to talk to the other one and kill herself. And she did it. She's dead. I said, okay. I said, I'm sorry to hear that. Did you see the messages? He said, no. I said, what do you mean? The messages are still there. I said, do you have devices? He goes, yes. I said, so why don't you have the messages? He goes, the parents don't know what the code is to get into the devices. So we'll never know what that conversation is. So forensically, I led them in another direction and they were able to get everything. And, but it's this. Moms, if you feel something's wrong, something's wrong. Sometimes it goes like this, right? You're making dinner. You're making dinner, and your kid goes after school, goes to their after school sport or wherever they go, and they come home. They come to the garage or the front door, and you're making dinner, and you say, hi, sweetheart, how's your day? What do they say? Fine. Right? By the way they come in the door, by the way they put their book bag down, by the way they say fine, by the way they give you a kiss or nod or a hug, right? They march up the stairs, go in their room, they slam the door, they lay in your bag, and you're like, something's wrong! Something's wrong! And your husband on the lazy boy chair holding his stomach is like, she just said fine, you're crazy. Something's wrong. I tell all my SROs, never, ever, never think that a mom's wrong, because they're not when it comes to their kids. So on the other side of this, never, ever, never, ever, ever tell your kids what you did that was illegal when you were their age. Never. But I get parents wanting to be their kids' friends. Like, when we smoked weed, it was different back then. How was it different? I barely put the keg in so-and-so's truck and went to the woods. Why don't you tell them that? When you tell them things that were illegal that you did when you were younger, you are giving them the gift certificate to go do that thing. Because they are going to do it. They're going to do whatever you told them that you did. And if they get caught by the principal or the police, and you gotta go pick their silly asses up, what's the first thing they're gonna say? What are you over me for? I'm gonna do it too. Talk to him. And the principal's be like, you said what? And make you look like an idiot. Or when moms are like, they're trying to talk to their sweet daughter and say, well, it was different when we dated our teachers in high school, which is different back then. Why would you tell them that? Why? I had one neighborhood lady said, well, detective, you really want me to lie to my children? Absolutely, lady. They don't need to know. My kids thought I should have been in the seminary. I ain't telling them any of that stuff that I did. Never. Our kids need mentors. They don't need any more friends. They need somebody to look up to guide and direct them as to what they should be doing. They don't need any more friends. So tomorrow I'm going to talk about who are they allowed to talk to. Why the rule of 5? If they have physically examined the person they're talking to online, their first name, their last name, their phone number, where they live, or where they go to school. If they can physically identify those traits about that person, then they can talk to them. But if they haven't, everyone else online is a liar. You cannot believe anything anybody says, because they're going to catfish you all day long. So, I want to show you how predators think, and this is big, like, 7th, 8th, and freshmen in high school because they're trying to find their way. But predator's always there to guide them, right? Here's how it happens.
Meeting a teen girl online is actually pretty easy. You can go into any chat room and just start talking. Most of the girls are usually so insecure and desperate for attention.
Attention from older guys is totally flattering. They're so much more mature and understanding than the guys my age.
Age actually works to my advantage. They like to brag to their friends that they're dating an older guy, so I just play along and pretend I'm really
She's
interested.
into the same things I am. You can talk forever and really get to know someone without worrying about looks or whatever. That's the best thing about
Chatting seems unthreatening to them, so they lower their guard. After a while, I start talking about how we're soulmates and how lucky we are to have found each other.
Other people don't understand. I know what I'm doing. If you really care about each other, there's nothing wrong with me.
Meeting them is the goal. Once I get them out of their house, well, that's when things get really interesting.
Online predators know what they're doing. Do you?
Some of our kids are so lost in their ways and nobody's paying attention to them in their social media that they find that person who's going to give them comfort. And this happens most of the time in their bedrooms, on their devices at night. That's when that happens. So, on the high school side, there's so much trafficking going on when our young ladies are dating older guys. It is big business. And a lot of the gangs in Chicago are coming out to the suburbs to recruit your girls as models. They see the money, they see the cars, and they get so impressed. They give them mollies.
Can anyone tell me what the difference of this word male versus female? Yes. XX is female, XY is male. Right. We're trying to study now.
And then get sex story.
What is this? What are you doing? Nothing. Who is that? Nobody. Who is that? Who are you texting? Nobody.
Seems like you're coming over here, my friend.
When I teach in the city, a lot of the gangs want to label their kids. They actually put a barcode on their girls. We talk a lot about this in my faculty presentations. Many times when kids meet someone on their gaming platforms or their social networks, I ask them, how many webcams do you have? Think about that. How many webcams do you have in your house? How many webcams do you have? Do you have one on your laptop, your Chromebook? Do you have one on your gaming computer, your desktop phone? What about your cell phone? What about your iPad, your tablet? How many webcams do our kids have access to? So what I'm going to tell them tomorrow, if someone asks you for personal information, and you haven't done your 5 pieces of verification, ask the person, let's go to webcam. With parent permission, let's go to webcam. A predator will say one of 4 things. They're going to say, mine's broke. Are all 3 of them broke? They're going to say, I don't have one of those. Every kid has at least 2 or 3. They're going to say, oh, I don't have enough bandwidth for that. Bandwidth is something like AOL bandwidth. Like you can go to McDonald's, Starbucks, school, get all the bandwidth you want. Or will they say, yeah, sure, let's go to Instagram video chat. So they video chat on Instagram, and then what happens, they can see you, they can hear you, but you can only hear them when you're looking at your the camera's like fuzzy. What predators do, ladies and gentlemen, they take a Scotch tape and they put it over your camera. And then they will blame your son or daughter. Well, it must be on the internet, I can see you fine, let's keep on talking. And then they got it. A predator will say one of those 4 things. And if they do, you know you're not talking to someone who you think you're talking to. So this came out of COVID. That people who could not afford internet or they had to go to work, they brought their kids to somewhere else, and it was a dangerous situation unbeknownst to the parent. So actually, Interpol came up with this, and I'm teaching this all over the country. Simply what this is a signal that I need help. And basically it's a wave, and I'm going to have the kids do this tomorrow. It's a wave, thumb in, fingers on top, and you're still waving, and then you're flashing. Whether you're on a cam, in a car, in a mall, driving with someone, if you see someone doing this, get your phone out, start recording a license plate, who they're with, the car, and call 911. That I've seen this girl who was in this car wave to me, and she gave me the universal signal. I need help. Okay? So, you also need to know that our kids don't go to neighborhoods anymore to pick up drugs. It gets delivered right to them through their social media. That's how drug dealing happens now. So I went to social media, I went to TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, and here's what I saw. People are posting stuff about this, so when they're posting it, liking it, you know your kid is doing it. So again, when you monitor their devices, all this stuff is going to come up. So if you monitor their cell phones, you're going to know who they hang out with, where they're going, who they're dating, and what parties they're going to, and what they're involved in, if you monitor. Many parents call me and say, hey, what's the dark net and what do they do there? So I'm just going to lay this out for you. Kids have no business on the dark net. They should not be hiding from something, because people who use the dark net are hiding from being exposed. They can buy drugs, they can buy guns, they can buy anything. Or they can do something called doxing to people that you do on the dark net. Or they could be cyber bullies disguising themselves to do bad things to others. That's what they use the dark net for. If you see this green globe on your desktop or on your tray, if you see an onion, a purple onion, or if you see something called Tor and then the onion, Tor stands for the onion router. They have it on their computers, you know they're going to darknet, and no kid should be going to the darknet at this age. So I want to expose you to something that happened to Dr. Laura Berman last year. Her 16-year-old son was studying in his room, on Snapchat, playing Fortnite. He tells his mom, I gotta get out of the house and I gotta go for a walk. He goes on Snapchat to his Snapchat drug dealer and wanted to buy a bar of Xanax. He meets him at the corner of the block, gives him $10, comes back home, continues to play, pops his pill, he's dead next. Because of all the drugs coming off the southern border with all the fentanyl that we know now, that's all the drugs in already, is fentanyl. Here's what happened.
A big warning for all parents from TV host and relationship therapist Dr. Laura Burton saying her 16-year-old son tragically and suddenly passed away after overdosing on drugs he bought off the app Snapchat. Haley Harton joins us with more on this story. Good morning, Haley.
Good morning, Amy. Sammy was a top student. He had big dreams and he had sights set on going to NYU. Dr. Berman says she thought her son used Snapchat like kids do to send silly photos back and forth with his friends. She never imagined that he could use the app to find a drug dealer.
A teenage boy with too much energy and stuck at home, isolated and bored, thought he'd experiment with something and had no idea it would kill him.
This morning, Dr. Laura Berman is grappling with the death of her 16-year-old son Samuel after an apparent drug overdose.
He was playing video games with his friends, he was totally fine, and then an hour later he was, unconscious on the floor, not breathing.
The relationship therapist, seen on the Oprah Winfrey Network, is still waiting on the toxicology report, but she believes Xanax, laced with fentanyl, killed her son. Dr. Berman saying her son bought the drugs from a dealer and went on Snapchat. After his death Sunday, she says one of her son's friends shared the dealer's profile with her.
This guy also had on his ad with a beautiful, colorful, kid-friendly list of all the things he offered.
What was your understanding of how your son was using social media?
He would Snapchat his friends, and I had no idea that, there were dealers on there.
The Santa Monica police telling ABC News a preliminary investigation leads us to believe prescription drug use may have been involved, but not commenting on the role social media allegedly played. The danger online is pervasive.
A big warning.
So, Santa Monica Police Department has internet crime investigators. They did find out who the dealer was, but that prosecutor Gaston let it go, says it's his fault. And this drug dealer is killing his customers. And Gaston said, no, not charging. That's probably because of the recall. Now, when it comes to drugs, a lot of our kids are using emojis. Bart picks up these emojis to alert you that this is happening. Okay? So I want to do a little exercise with you guys now. I've talked enough. So what I want you to do is that I want you to go to your App Store or your Google Play on your phone. Go ahead and hold it. Your App Store or Google Play. And I want you to type in hide my pictures or hide my videos. Hide my pictures or hide my videos. Go ahead and type it in and search. What you're going to see are 10 or 12 different apps that allow your kids to hide pictures and videos in something called a vault. It'll look like the most that they look like is the most dangerous ones are the calculator app. It looks like a calculator. It works like a calculator. If you put 1 + 1 = everything 2. But if you put the password that they set up, or there's a default password of .1234 and you hit AC, it'll open up all the videos and pictures they don't want their hiding from you. Gosh. How do I know if my kid has this? Easy. No kid needs 2 calculators in their phone. If they have 2 calculators, you know what's involved, right? Easy. Well, Snapchat is so great, they have their own vault called My Eyes Only. And this is where our kids are getting in trouble. Many sextortionists will blackmail female students to let them into their Snapchat so they can take all the scandalous photos they have in My Eyes Only. So here's how this works. So if you have Snapchat, go ahead and go to your Snapchat. Okay? There is a deck of cards to the left of the Snap button. Click on the deck of cards to the left of the Snap button. You will then see snaps, camera roll, stories, screenshots, or My Eyes Only. Click on My Eyes Only. If a pad shows up, that means they already are hiding stuff in there. If it says click here to set up your My Eyes Only, they have not put anything in there. So when you put the code in there, it'll open up all the pictures and videos they don't want you to see. Sure. So you're in Snap mode, right? So there's a deck of cards to the left of the Snap button. Then it'll say Snaps, Camera Roll, Stories, Screenshots, My Eyes Only. You click on My Eyes Only, if a pad shows up, they have stuff in there. You need to check it. This is where they'll hide the most horrific pictures and videos. Okay? What I'm going to tell your kids tomorrow is this. And my job tomorrow is to empower them with some of the same tools I'm giving you, but to empower them not to be victims. And here's what I'm going to tell them on several occasions tomorrow. No one has the right to make you feel bad about yourself online or in person. No one has the right to make you do things you know you shouldn't be doing. If you are sitting here listening to what I'm telling you today, and you're sitting here suffering in silence, not knowing what to do, you need to come to me after this class, because I'm going to make that pain stop. You see, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to social networking or gaming online, no one online is anonymous. No one. As a matter of fact, yesterday, I'll read it to you. I get a text from an officer that I trained in Colorado at the conference of NASRO, and he stopped a horrible event that was going to happen to one of the students. I want to read it to you. Good morning, Rich. I just want to let you know, I did my first emergency disclosure request to Snapchat yesterday, and somebody had made a fake profile pretending to be another student at my school, which caused multiple people to threaten and harm the student. Snapchat responded in about 14 minutes with the email address that created the account, IP addresses used, and some of those IPs, the student used what's called a VPN. So they couldn't be detected, a virtual private network. Times of logins and such. Of the multiple IP addresses, one stood out and happened to be the home IP address of the suspect. I submitted an emergency disclosure to Comcast, they gave me the home address, and in 3 minutes from the time I had submitted it, I had it all wrapped up in a matter of minutes. A month ago, I would have had no idea of what to do with this case. Instead, I now have a safe, happy student here today, a happy parent, and an internet bully, keyboard warrior taken down in an extremely short amount of time. I can't thank you enough. I felt extremely proud, and I'm impressed, and I've impressed a lot of people in my school and in my police department. People who work with me said that I'm not going to get any information, and I did. So you have to understand, how I teach and train my resource officers and law enforcement, a lot of them, they call me every day with cases. And I guide and direct them the best I can to get them to the result that they need. And so when I tell you that if your kid is suffering in silence, we can find out who this is and shut it down so they're not victimized anymore. So when it comes to school violence, you have a really big role, parents. Because at the dinner table, when you pick up your kid, you're going to hear them say, or in the car with that carpool, you're going to say, "Did you see what so-and-so posted? Oh my God, he showed his gun, he said he's going to shoot up the school." And people say, "Oh, he's not serious." No. Anytime a threat comes in like that, we compare everything to Parkland. Because all that happened in Parkland, nobody believed that this kid would be capable of it. So when a threat comes in, ladies and gentlemen, I want to advise you that you need to grab information for us. Screenshot it, use our idea, I'll get to that in a second. But it's imperative that you tell the school exactly what you heard and what you saw so we can stop it within hours before it even happens. You need to know this. 75% of the school shooters over the last 20 years posted what they wanted to do before they did it. You saw that in Highland Park, right? He had made a fake classroom in his uncle's basement to practice. So when you see that stuff, it's imperative that you tell the school so we can jump on it, and then we execute 3 search warrants immediately. We do a search warrant on their home for weapons, we do a search warrant on their social media for intent, and we do a search warrant on their cell phone to see who they're collaborating with. Once we execute those search warrants or consents if they get it, we can stop it before it happens. If they have weapons, we're going to find them. And we can give that kid the mental health help they need and stop people from dying. We can stop school shooters. It's quite easy. But we have to have schools and law enforcement on board to do the protocols that are set forth already. So if you see something, say something. Don't keep this to yourself. So some of our laws, harassment, electronic communication, it says making any comment, request, suggestion, or proposal which is unseemly with intent to offend. I'm making moves to change and add to this law. What I'm going to add is any attempt to harass, annoy, disturb, or provoke a breach of the peace. The person receiving the text or the message must tell the person to stop at least once. And if it continues after that, it becomes a misdemeanor, and then we can go after that person. That's what I want to change it to. Cyber stalking, this says, provides that a person commits stalking when he or she knowingly engages in a course of conduct 2 or more occasions. Directed at a specific person, and he or she knows or should know that this course of conduct 2 or more occasions would cause a reasonable person to fear for his safety or safety of third person. So if somebody is constantly more than twice sending harmful, threatening messages, it's considered cyber stalking. And that's a felony. False impersonation. No one is allowed to use anyone's picture, name, or likeness to create a fake account. If you create a fake account on someone, that's illegal. You'll be arrested for that. And the pain in our butt last year from the TikTok challenges were kids videotaping in the bathroom of damage, of whatever. It's a thing now that kids are making money with videos of their feet. There are high school and college kids making hundreds of dollars from predators by taking pictures of their, because then it escalates. It starts out with the feet and then more. I'll give you more money for this, more money for that, and kids do it. Okay? And it starts out with challenges or OnlyFans. So what I'm telling the kids tomorrow is, look, this is the law, and it's unlawful for any person to knowingly make a video recording or transmit live video of any other person without that person's consent in a bathroom. So when they're fighting in the bathroom, they're videotaping it, that's a felony. And they put it out, it's a felony. If they're dancing in there and somebody is videotaping them dancing and putting it out, it's a felony. They need to know that. I'm going to tell them that tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to give them another tool called the 3P test. What is the 3P test? If you take a snap, a TikTok, a picture, or video, before you send it, think about your 3 Ps. If you were to first show it to your parents, your priest, or your principal, what would they say? If they would say, oh my God, you're so talented, that's so cool, then go ahead and send it to what you did. But if you can hear them say, why would you embarrass yourself? Like, why would you discredit yourself? Maybe I shouldn't say it. So I'm going to give them that guide as to what to say. Alright, so how do you make a cybercrime report? Well, the answer itself is what's happening to my son or daughter of crime. Such as false impersonation, harassment, intimidation, cyberstalking, sexual exploitation, or abuse of station. If any of these cyber crimes are happening, basically, if it makes your kid feel really bad, it's probably a crime. Okay? Here's what I need. Now, if you're going to take a picture, don't take a picture until I get to the bottom. What do you need to get to the police? First and foremost, I need screen captures of everything. I need screen captures of the chat, of the profile, what she said, what he said, everything. Screen capture, screen capture, screen capture. Print it out and make it a file. Print it out and make it a file. Get the user ID. I'm going to show you some examples of where the user IDs are, but without the user ID, we can't do the case. We have to have the right user ID. Okay? Here's a mistake that school officials and law enforcement tell victims. Oh, just report it to the social network, they'll take care of everything. That's wrong information. Wrong. You see, if you report it to them, the social network, the gaming platform, before you report it to us, if it's a terms of service violation, they'll delete the account. And then you come to us, when we go give that subpoena or search warrant, what are we going to get back? Nothing, because it's already deleted. So if they want us to find out who it is and follow up, don't tell the social network. Let us take it down if we need to take it down. If there's been no physical contact of a provoking nature, if there's been no sexual contact with your son or daughter, I want them to type a detailed type in, I was in Roblox. My gamer tag was this. My friend's gamer tag was this. He asked me to go to Discord. We went to Discord, we went to this room. I need details. I dug. Print it up and make a file. And I need everything you see here put on a flash drive. Not one flash drive, 2 flash drives, because sometimes cops do so. So, I need everything printed out and a flash drive, and you go to the police and you say, my daughter is a victim of X. Right? And they're like, what's that? And you're going to say, this is the evidence of what happened to her. And the cop's going to say, shit, you got evidence. Okay? It's going to cause them to take the police report. Okay? So, again, these are the things you need. Go ahead and take a picture of that if you need to. Okay. Now, I need a screenshot. So on the older iPhones, power button, home button. On the new iPhones, 10 and above, it's a squeeze at the top. If they have an Android, it's usually volume down and power, or palm swipe to capture. You go like this, and it takes a picture. Okay? Okay. Now, where are the user IDs? In Instagram, it's name at the top. I need that. That's the user ID. If it's in TikTok, it is at and then the name of the profile. It's at and the name. That's what I need. If it's in Snapchat, it's not the top name, it's the bottom name. The top name, they can change it any time. I need the bottom name. That's what I need. Do all of you have high school students? Okay. You need to know how high school students know whose house they can go to the party. And they do this. So they turn on their location services on the weekends, and they turn their SnapMap on. When they turn their SnapMap on, they can say, oh, she's my so-and-so. Oh, look at all these people here. A party's there, I'm going there. They no longer, remember we were kids, hey, what are you doing this weekend? What are you doing this? Who's at this house? Who's at that house? Who's at that house? No. They just go on their Snapchat and they see all their friends at one location. That's where the party is. That's how they know where to go. And school officials on the weekends, you can take your fake Snapchat account and see who's having the party. See all your athletes. That's another class. That's another class. So if you don't want your kid to be known, go into settings, turn ghost mode on, so the locations are off. Okay? Many of our kids think, well, if I put stuff on Snapchat, I'll know somebody, I'll get notified when they screenshot it. Well, it's too late. They already have it, first of all. But what our kids don't understand is that there are third-party apps out there, ladies and gentlemen, that record your screen, that run in the background of Snapchat, and they won't even know that everything they're putting out is being recorded. Okay, so when we talk about monitoring, bark is a really, Kaspersky is okay. How many of you guys use Life 360? Yeah, be careful of that. Be careful of that. So my family, we have Life 360, right? So what happened was I traveled a lot. I was in Spokane, Washington a couple of years ago. And my routine is I get up at like 5:30, I go work out, I come back, I have a cup of coffee, I call my wife, and blah, blah, blah. Talk about everything. So this particular time, she calls me at 5 a.m. and says, where'd you go last night? I'm like, nowhere, I slept pretty good. Not according to, I got an alert from Life 360, where'd you go? I said, I go anywhere. Good. So I said, wait a minute. She goes, I'll screenshot it for you. So she screenshotted it at 2:30 in the morning that I left for an hour and a half. That I went a mile and a half away to a house near the hotel. I'm like, I didn't do this! I didn't do this! So I made a ticket out of Life 360 and I said, hey, I'm fighting for my life here. I did not leave. You know what they said? Was it a straight line? What do you mean was it a straight line? I don't know. So I looked at it and they said, yeah. I said, yeah, straight line. She goes, that's just how our service checks in with your phone. We go to the nearest open wireless and check in there. And that's how we know our service is working. I was like, well, you need to type that stuff up and send it to me right now. So how do you know to check it if it's a straight line? But if it's like turn right, turn left, turn right, turn left, you know it's an actual depiction. Here's my thing with Life 360. How many kids are getting in trouble because the parents don't know that? And they don't believe their kid? How many people are going to jail because they found that on their spouse's phone? And they put that person at the scene of the crime. And they weren't there actually. That's the danger of Life 360, so just be careful. If it's a straight line, they didn't go there. So again, when you go to Bark, for Android you don't get everything. But for Apple, you have to do something called an onboarding process, and most of the social networks won't get that much as you would with Bark. So if you go, you guys are all sent a 30-day free trial of Bark, or that was part of the handouts that was given to you. But if you go to my website, let me show you right here. So this is my website. If you go to schools, you go down to monitoring software, click on Bark. There is a 30 is a free for 30 days. You just put the year in the code, and you get it for free. If you know somebody who needs this class, here's cyberparenting-101.com, and they can take an online class. So both of my kids play high-level soccer. Okay? My older son played in Spain. My younger son is a goalkeeper. He played all over the United States. He played academy level. So they both had great college scholarships. So I want you to know the game and why social media is so important when they go and get a college scholarship. So as coaches see them play, right? If they're really interested, they'll invite them to a camp, they'll go to camp, and then there's something called the final visit under NCAA rules. In the final visit, it is the coach taking you as the parents and your athlete to lunch. And that's what the final offer is going to be. This is where you're going to talk about money and how much scholarship my kid's going to get. So all three of you are there, right? Maybe another assistant coach. Then during lunch, or right before, all of a sudden, 3 or 4 of the players from that team are going to have lunch. Just a coincidence. And then the coach will say, oh, some of the players are here. Let me introduce you. Here's Captain so-and-so. Here's team captain. Here's this guy. And the coach is going to say, or the captain is going to say, why don't we show you around? We can do a real private tour. Let your parents sit there with the coach. You don't need to be there. And they'll take your kid on a private tour. And what's your kid thinking? Oh my God, this is great. They love me. I feel really good about here. They're really accepting of me. Well, as you're walking through this tour, the planner says, hey, what's your Snap? Hey, what's your TikTok? Hey, what's your Instagram? Hey, add me, follow. The players are doing a background investigation on your athlete. They will investigate them for the next 3 days and go through all their videos and pictures to see if they're vaping, to see if they're drinking, to see if they're fighting, to see if they're doing drugs. Within 3 days, they're not going to say anything to the coach. Coach is going to make an appointment at 10 o'clock, and 3 days later, and say, I just want you to come by my office and give me this or this. I'll say, all right, good player, coach. Hell no, coach. Gets a lot of flags. Hell no, coach. And your kid loses scholarship. Just because of what they have on their social media. I'm going to explain this to the kids tomorrow. So please understand, you need to shore up that social media if you think your kid's going to play in college. Because that's the first place you're going to go. I know you know they're going to investigate. Then they hire companies like Due Diligence. When they get the scholarship, and they continue to go through all 4 years if they're hired. And then my older son is a firefighter paramedic in Woodridge. My older son, he's a police officer in Woodridge now. And last year when he was going for the job, he had to give him his screen name and passwords to all his social media so they could go through them. They even searched his bedroom before he was able to get that job. So please understand how important it is to shore up that stuff. And that's my information. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the information I gave you today. Are there any questions? Any questions you may have? Anything? I'll be here for a little while if you want to talk to me privately. Thank you very much and have a safe rest of your year. Thank you. Thank you so much.
What time is tomorrow, second hour?